Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going better than fantastic. I do hope you're making great strides in your journey of healing and self-betterment. I also want to say again, thank you all so much for your support of this channel. It really means a lot to me. Because the more people learn about narcissism and narcissistic abuse, the more they can get on that road of self-betterment. So they can get unstuck, so to speak. I get new comments every day, telling me that they just found my channel, and how the information on it has really opened their eyes to the toxic nature of their family, let's say, or a spouse they are or were with, or someone that is trying to have a romantic relationship with them, and their gut is telling them danger. But society's programming, and possibly the programming they received from their narcissistic family, is saying go for it. These people were able to see videos from this channel, and from other channels like it, and they were able to hopefully take a step back and say to themselves, hey, wait a minute, something is going on here, and hopefully make the right choice to get out and away from such people. Which brings me to the topic of this video. Narcissistic abuse survivors have so much in common. Yes, there are differences. One narcissistic family might be rich. Someone might come from a home with one narcissist parent or two narcissist parents. A narcissist parent or parents might sabotage their son or daughter's education, so their son or daughter will never leave home, and so they can feed on their son or daughter's pain, and gain narcissistic supply as a result. A narcissist parent or parents might push their son or daughter to educational excellence, so they can use their son's or daughter's achievements as a reason to brag to others and gain narcissistic supply. Yes, there are many different flavors and varieties in which the narcissist might take. However, with that being said, their objectives are largely the same, and the manipulation tactics they use to get these twisted goals are largely the same. I've received so many comments on my last video, talking about, wow, this sounds like my life, or you and I are very much alike, or it seems like we had the same type of growing up, and the list goes on and on. And the reason why this is important is because this is a real problem that is affecting millions of people's lives, and must be addressed. Here's an example of that. People that have the ability to stand in front of certain officials can say what this problem is, and how it's destroyed the fabric of families today. And though there isn't a 100% cure we as a people can create for this problem, what we can do is recognize it is a problem first and foremost, and make the narcissist's main way of taking over and ruining a family a lot more difficult. And that would be by having marriage and divorce and having families not be a winner-take-all system. Look, when you have all kinds of legal this and legal that involved in people's relationships, narcissists will come along and figure out a way to exploit these laws. And narcissists will figure out a way to get at the top of such organizations in order to make money for themselves from the pain of others, which we know is right up the narcissist's alley. You see, I think there are so many of us, because either we've lived in a system without information on this topic, and society saying you can't talk badly about your parents, which I don't consider telling this truth talking badly about my mother, as I greatly love her, and feel bad. Her life was ruined by her mother, and she never lived a normal life. But with that being said, what she did to my life was and is a terrible thing. much like the narcissist parent or parents that were involved in your life. And now we live in a society where most rational and aware people are literally afraid to get married. And the reason why is they know the system can easily chew them up and spit them out. And a narcissist can walk away with all of their hard-earned money, possessions, and home, and even full custody to their sons and or daughters, denying the other parent any kind of parental rights. They might be in the front of a system that only sees how much money that can be made off of their sorrow and pain, instead of a system of seeing how to help out this person in the best way possible. Look, your story and my story means something. It means that something is vastly wrong. Vastly wrong. Yes. There was a time this information wasn't mainstream. And on top of that, you couldn't dare speak against your parent or parents without being seen as a terrible person. Now the information is growing and gaining steam. But talking about your parent or parents in a truthful manner, and pointing out the problems, to some in our society is seen as a taboo subject. And you still might be pointed out as a bad son or daughter for doing so. But we also have a family court and divorce court system that seems to work off of the dysfunction of toxic people entering into and ruining what could have been a happy and healthy relationship if they weren't toxic. They also thrive on those that might be happy and healthy today. They might enter into a relationship, and they might be influenced by what they see and hear in the media, or from so-called family and friends. They might see and hear things that might influence them to betray their spouse, and ultimately themselves, and ruin everything around them, thus feeding the machine with money, narcissistic supply, and turning another generation into someone that shares our same story. It's a revolving door. It's a toxic system. And it won't end until people raise their hands and say, I've had enough of this. Let me tell you what. If someone was able to get the many documentaries on such entities looked at, such as the ills regarding family and divorce court, and some really well-spoken people that have influence, got out there in front of people that can affect change. If they stood up and said, the main problem here is the family. And with the system we have right now, we are handing the family over to toxic people. Or toxic people in training. The one that entered such union in good faith may never be able to put their life back together again after such a horrible situation. And even if they can, it could be years or decades later. Missing out on prime years of their life to do a great many things for not only their family but society at large. But most importantly, the sons and daughters are affected the most by this. And I believe this is where narcissism and narcissistic abuse and its covert nature needs to be discussed. Because the minute that you have a frank and honest discussion about narcissism and narcissistic abuse, and what it is, and how it shows up in a family, and how it's allowed to grow and grow and grow, the more it will become obvious there are some serious problems. Serious problems with the entities that oversee such relationships in a legal sense. And if they want to do what's best for people, especially the sons and daughters of such unions, they will have no problem having this information heard, and having changes made as a result. But if they fight it tooth and nail, then you know there is a problem. Wait, you see a great many people negatively affected by such a system. A system where you profit and you make a ton of money off of. You see and acknowledge there is a problem. But you don't want to see this current system that is wrecking so many people's lives changed. Oh. Okay. Got it? The problem is this conversation isn't taking place. Yes. We are talking about narcissism here. And there are a great many people grabbing onto this information. They are bettering themselves. And they are going on a positive life journey. But as we've talked about before and a great many others have mentioned before is, narcissistic abuse can and oftentimes does lead to physical health issues. But so does isolation. You should have the freedom to make a friend or find a spouse if you choose to do so. And you shouldn't be scared having a friend or spouse could lead you to losing your house and all of your money in the process. You see, if narcissists see and understand there is no more cash and prizes in having these relationships, they will literally start to feed on themselves. You see, though I believe the current low number stated on how many narcissists there are in the world is wrong as wrong can be, I do believe there was a time when it was probably indeed low, or way lower than it is today. You see, though covert narcissism existed and has existed since the serpent in the Garden of Eden, and you can't talk about your parents negatively or speak the truth about your upbringing. Though all of this was the case, narcissism, or what we know narcissism to be, wasn't upheld as a positive in our society. Now, though I think the numbers were a lot lower a long time ago, I do think they were higher even back then to what they believed, due to the covert nature of the narcissist, and society's saying sons and daughters should be seen and not heard. But with that being said, I believe it was a bit more difficult for a narcissist to operate than it is for them today. Don't get me wrong. They were able to operate just fine. My mother and her mother were and are examples. But today is different. It's upheld as a good thing. Because narcissists now know they can get attention on tap. And their negative behavior is rewarded with not only attention and narcissistic supply, but also cash and prizes. Along with full custody of their sons and daughters they can train up in whatever way they see fit, which we know will lead to toxic consequences for these sons and daughters. When talking about abuse, we see posters of someone with a bruised eye or something of the like. But we rarely hear about projection, gaslighting, and other manipulation tactics the narcissist uses. And most importantly, the reasons why the narcissist or other toxic people use such tactics. Narcissism and narcissistic abuse is simple yet complex. I can tell a story of my growing up, and I can get several messages in the comment section, with a great many of you that can relate, just from a simple story I told from my growing up years. But narcissism is complex as it hovers under the radar, and it can happen slowly and in stages. If a great many grown people stood up and said, "Hey, family court, you got it wrong. You helped destroy my life." Because if a fair choice were made, meaning the narcissist parent had to show some sort of responsibility, there is a big chance the narcissist parent would have just vanished, never to be heard from again. But because they were able to get narcissistic supply from the drama they created around us and using us as a pawn in the game, and they were able to gain money and control and power, the narcissist stayed. Yes. Our stories are very close. And they matter. And I think it's time we understand why these painful stories that are so much the same keep on happening. And my guess is it's allowed to happen. Again. Narcissists can get a job anywhere, right? They can be a plumber, a cashier, or a high-ranking person in family court or in the media. Well, what would happen if they became a high-ranking person in family court? Likely chaos and a lot of pain for those that would have to enter such a system, through no fault of their own. It's time that is recognized. Narcissists can be anywhere and they are everywhere. Just like people that mean well can be anywhere and are everywhere. And it's important to know what happens if a narcissist takes charge of something like family court, or is a high-ranking person in such an organization. What happens? Well, all I can say is, there are a great many people that are terrified of marriage. Not because they are afraid of commitment, but they are afraid of what the system can and will likely do to them if they get it wrong and marry the wrong person by mistake. Or if they marry the right person, and the right person turns evil due to outside influences. This is why sharing our stories on such platforms are important. You see, there are a lot of people that watch such content. If our stories are alike, I'm pretty sure there is someone in a position of authority that went through what we went through, and that can speak for us, and those coming behind us. Because right now, some young person is going through exactly what we went through. When does it all end? Well, you can't save the world, but you can tell your story, even in a comment section of a video. And that story might spark the mind of someone that can make a change. Well, that's all I have for now. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. There's a link below on how you can support this channel even further. And don't forget to like and share, so the word of what narcissism and narcissistic abuse is all about gets out to more people. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.